Hey everyone, welcome to the February Splinterlands Town Hall. It is Thursday, February 20th, 2025. Really excited to be back and talking with everybody. We have, I guess January Town Hall we didn't have as much to talk about as we had a big break and everyone was kind of like heads down working and planning on everything. This town hall is kind of going to be the exact opposite of the last one, where all the work and planning over the past few months is starting to come to fruition, and we're going to be talking about quite a lot of it here. So we have the usual cast of characters here today. Myself, we have Investigator, we have Nate the Great. Also joining us, we have Blaze, who's our marketing lead, as many of you know. And we are also going to be introducing in a few minutes Andrew Wall, um, who we've talked about before. We've brought on him and his company to help out with our big marketing and promotional push. So we're going to go to him in a little bit. Um, but before we get into all that, I wanted to start this off by talking about the big release that happened earlier this week. It was even a surprise to me that it got out actually as quickly as it did, and that is the SPS validators. This is one I've struggled many times to express how exciting and important this is. It's not as obvious as a new card set or a new feature or something in the game that players will be interacting with daily. But it's more of a behind the scenes thing. But it is something that I feel like really encapsulates the whole idea and ethos of this project more than anything else. I mean, pretty much every game on the market, Web3 or Web2 or whatever, they have new releases and new features and new things. So that's not unusual. But they don't have things like validator nodes that exist or go live. So this is really it just highlights the difference in what we're doing here compared to traditional games and even most Web3 games, to be honest. So for anyone who doesn't know, the SPS Validators is an open source software project that anyone can run independently anywhere in the world to validate all SPS and SPS related transactions, that take place on the Hive blockchain. So in the past, the all the code that handled everything related to the SPS token um, was private and proprietary and run only by the Splinterlands company. And that means that up until now, you've had to trust us to do everything properly. And I appreciate the fact that most of you have done that. But that's not the idea behind cryptocurrency and blockchain and decentralization. So now, for the first time, as of this Tuesday with the release, anyone can go and download the software from the GitHub repository. They can run it locally and independently uh, validate and view all SPS transactions and all of the data. And there is zero reliance on the Splinterlands team or the Splinterlands company or our servers or anything like that for all that information. Yeah, and again, it's hard for me to express how important and exciting that is. I know right now it takes a good amount of technical ability to go and actually run and launch these validators, but the hope and expectation is that the team over at Jupiter, that's run by Patrick, that's been working on this, is going to make it easier, and hopefully we'll have at some point just simple Windows and Mac OS installers for this thing, so more and more people could run it. But as we just get started, it's a bit on the technical side for those of you who are so inclined. Um, and the cool thing is also that for those of you who have purchased validator licenses, um, already services like Peak Monsters have announced that they're working on a service where you can stake your licenses with them, and they'll run the software on your behalf. So you'll be able to earn your rewards from those licenses without having to run the software yourself, which is awesome. So thank you to Peak Monsters for being on top of that. And we look forward for other services to do that in the future. Um, So again, this is like really, it's kind of a start of an entirely new chapter in Splinterlands, I think, and in our like big mission of decentralized gaming and giving power back to the players and to the community, which is again the whole idea behind what we're doing here. And on top of that, it will allow for the player community, the stakers of the SPS token, to vote on the top validators that are responsible for validating all of the transactions and keeping the system running. Very similar to blockchains like Hive, EOS, Tron. There's a number of them. So it just makes it so that the token holders 100% in a completely decentralized way control everything about the SPS token. And over time, I look forward to more and more aspects of the game, including dark energy crystals, NFTs, for the cards, land, everything to be slowly moved over to validators and be run in a similar decentralized way. Um, one thing I've seen a lot of people talk about, with or without validators, is trying to get SPS on a tier one US exchange like Coinbase, which obviously would be amazing. And I think while validators are definitely a step in the right direction, because before validators, it would effectively be impossible for an exchange to list native SPS tokens. The exchanges that have SPS right now list either the Ethereum token or the Binance Smart Chain token, which doesn't really give the easy experience a lot of players would be looking for. You still need to have an EVM wallet and transfer tokens out of the exchange to that, bridge them into the game, which is a difficult task, I think, for most people, and definitely a pain point right now. But now with the SPS validators, at some point in the future, I expect it would probably be a while. They would need to probably run in production and make sure all the bugs are ironed out for a while before exchanges might look to picking it up. But it will allow exchanges to potentially run their own validator and list native SPS tokens that can be withdrawn right into your game wallet. Um, that being said, I don't expect that something like Coinbase is all of a sudden going to magically do this, especially when validators were just launched a couple days ago and we're still relatively small in the scheme of things. But it is a step on the pathway to doing that. And I would say that anyone who is interested in helping out with that, I would actually suggest that we, if anything, push to try to get the Hive token listed on a large U.S. exchange, because um, it's much easier to go from Hive to SPS. For example, people already have a Hive wallet when they play Splinterlands, so you don't need a separate EVM wallet. You don't need the bridging and the gas fees and all that stuff. So if even a tier one US exchange would list Hive, we would be able to leverage that and still make it 100 times easier for players to go through that and get SPS right into their game account. So in the meantime, I would suggest anyone who's trying to push listings actually focus on the Hive token first, and then since SPS validators were modeled after Hive, that would also make it easier for an exchange to then list native SPS directly in the future if they're already doing Hive. So just some thoughts on that. That's something I've seen a lot of people talk about in Discord and X and various places. And then, also a big shout out not only to the Jupiter team led by Patrick, um, but also our internal team, led by Investigator here, because I kind of thought that the launch of validators might be a huge mess. Um, and so far, knock on wood, it has been amazingly smooth. It's gone really well, and I just can't even begin to express how amazed I am, because this was such a major kind of overhaul to the system. Basically, everywhere within the game and the game website that touched SPS tokens had to be completely rebuilt to use the validator software instead, to get data on balances, or to publish transactions and see if they went through, for sending SPS or staking it or unstaking it, all those things. It's been a project that's been in the works for years at this point. And yeah, the team just keeps knocking it out of the park and completely exceeding my expectations on how smoothly they're able to do these things. Um, And the plan going forward is, I think we're planning to run it internally for a week and then provide a snapshot. So for people or services that want to start up their own validator nodes, they'll be able to launch off a more recent snapshot after the release happened, which will make it easier to set up and start running. And then roughly a week after that, so 2 weeks or so, then the rewards are going to be turned on for players who are staking their licenses. So it gives everyone some time, gives the services some time to set up and get ready with the license staking before the rewards start. So again, huge shout out to both Jupiter's team and our internal team for getting this project launched. Like I said, it's at least 3 years in the making, I think, and a huge step forward for Splinterlands. And as always, we're going to have a Q&A session at the end. So if anyone has questions or anything they want to talk about regarding validators or anything else, save them to the end, and we'll get to them, as many as we can, in the time we have. But speaking of big transformative new things for Splinterlands, another one in addition to SPS validators is our marketing and promotional campaigns. Historically, as most of you know who have been around, we've relied on word of mouth and just general like crypto market excitement to get new people in here. And as the space gets more and more saturated, we can't rely on that anymore. So kind of for the first time ever, we are planning to do a big coordinated marketing campaign. And in order to do that, we've brought in people who know what they're doing with coordinated marketing campaigns. I certainly do not. So you guys know Blaze already. And I can't see this stream for some reason, but hopefully we can bring Andrew and Blaze on the screen if they're not already. You guys know Blaze already, who's leading things internally. We also have Andrew Wall, who has started his own group called Not Corrupt Media, who we've brought on using the funds from the DHF, from the Hive DAO that you guys helped push through. We've brought Andrew and his team on to make this happen. So I'm gonna stop talking. I'm gonna turn it over to Andrew, who is gonna tell you much more about how this is gonna work.
Sounds good. Um, how you doing? Let me know if you hear background noise. A giant truck just arrived. But my name is Andrew Wall. I'm the CEO of Not Corrupt Media, and the visuals I assume you can see on the screen right now are just going to be examples of work we've done in the past, so you can kind of get an idea of the marketing and media things that we do, just to give some sense of it. But just a quick background on me and our companies. I started doing games marketing and game content in 2007, back when YouTube was getting started. And I every night after work, I would create YouTube videos about StarCraft. You guys are familiar in StarCraft 2, and I was one of the early StarCraft esports casters. And we saw this opportunity at that time where social media and gaming were coming together, and social media was transforming gaming, and it was making opportunities for individual people to make a living or make some money from their passion of video games. And that was so inspiring to me that I quit my corporate media job. I was running big events in New York, to become a full time YouTuber and to build a YouTube startup called TGN. We created a business to help content creators make a living making gaming videos, which at that time was a totally insane concept. We ended up scaling that up into 30,000 gaming YouTubers, getting billions of views per month, and we became the largest gaming video network of all time. Um, we ended up merging that into a big media corp where I became a media executive. And much of my team that currently works with me now in the agency that you guys are working with, came from that media corp, where I created the official esports videos for Blizzard Entertainment, for Heroes of the Storm and Overwatch. Created countless YouTube channels to millions of subscribers, and service the biggest media companies in the entire world, like Univision, NBC. We ran the NBA's YouTube channels. We did everything. And after being a corporate executive and watching social media and gaming come together and it mature, I didn't feel like the social media industry was really benefiting gamers and benefiting creators as much anymore. And so I was looking for other technologies that would intersect with gaming that could benefit it. And blockchain technology came along. And that's how I got involved in the space that all of you guys are in. I saw an even better opportunity for people to earn and to own and to be able to make decisions about the video games that they want to play directly. And Splinterlands obviously is like the OG player in that space, and I got to know Patrick uh, when as I was running marketing at Illuvium, and so Patrick made an introduction, and it's the perfect opportunity for us to come in and to be working with Splinterlands to help you ramp up your marketing. Given that I've been full time and my team is full time for the last 4 years, been doing nothing but Web3 games and blockchain gaming marketing. And we've serviced all the names you've heard in the space, like Illuvium and Gods Unchained and what have you. And we are now going to take everything that we've learned not to do and all the things that work incredibly well now and bring that to Splinterlands to transform the Splinterlands brand and to give you guys, that push that you guys, I think, deserve. I think you have an incredible game and IP, and we're going to bring that to life. And if you like, I can talk about some of the details on what we have planned with you guys, if you want, and I can kind of go into those specifics. Does that sound good?
Yeah. First, though, can you tell us about the name of your group, Not Corrupt Media?
Sure. Yeah. So, in that journey I told you about a minute ago, where I was at the top of the gaming media industry and all this stuff, uh, in my life as a corpo, I corporate media corporations they don't care about their clients. They don't care about content creators, and they don't care about their team. And I know this because I was a high level media executive in corpo working with the top media corpos in the world. And I left that industry and I left behind a lot of money and equity in companies because I didn't ethically feel that they actually cared about the people that mattered, and they were taking advantage of creators and their clients. I could give you countless examples that are heartbreaking of what I consider the media companies to literally be stealing from their own clients and their own creators and their own team. And so I decided to go find people that are aligned with our values, that believe in trust and believe in the highest level of excellence, and to create our own media company that's based around that. And so, Not Corrupt Media is the ultimate anti corporate media and marketing company, to where we only work with clients that are trustworthy and want to achieve excellence. We only sign consultants that are trustworthy and want to achieve excellence. And we will walk away from uh, big lucrative opportunities if someone is not trustworthy and they are not achieving excellence. For example, just in the last month, um, one of our clients we felt was not trying to achieve excellence and was not trustworthy, and we walked away from um, six figures worth of money based on our values. And so we're trying to run a different type of media company. And that's why, as you can imagine, why we want to work with decentralized organizations, and we want to work in the space that we're in here because it's all about putting the power into the people's hands, and to look out for the people that are actually generating the value, which is the customer, which is the client, and which is the team, and putting them first. And anyone that doesn't have those values, we will not do business with them. And even if that's at our own financial expense. And so that's what being not corrupt means to us. And a lot of the entire leadership team and senior team I have in my organization are the refugees, let's call it, and they were the high achieving all stars from that what I believe is a corrupt social media and marketing industry that have come over with me and wanted to make something better. And so far it's worked like gangbusters. We went from 0 to 7-figure agencies in just a year, and we have a team of 45 marketing, media, creative design, and video consultants that work with us each month. And so far, that mission that we have and that kind of ethos we have at Not Corrupt attracts the right people. And so Splinterlands, when we were talking with you guys, and my based on my history with Patrick, you guys were in completely aligned with us in terms of trust and wanting to achieve excellence. That's baked into the model. It's baked into your tokenomics and into your governance structure. And so you guys are a perfect fit for us um, on that level. So that's what being not corrupt. That's why the name's not corrupt. Fun. We were actually thinking about the original concept, which is to call ourselves corrupt media and do like a parody brand, Daily Show style. But that would be a little confusing, I think. So some of my marketing buddies vetoed that. I just said, just go not corrupt. So here we are.
All right. No, yeah. So we obviously, talked to Andrew a lot, uh, and also felt for, and we also talked to a few others. So it wasn't just like the first or only person we talked to when we got the funds in to do something like this. And yeah, also really felt like I even talked a bunch about not wanting to work with any agency uh, a number of times because we have had bad experiences. We actually had hired an agency when the SPS token first launched to do some promotion and spent a lot of money, and they did like some little PRs and pretty much nothing. So I have bad experiences. But
Yeah.
really kind of changed my mind here when I met Andrew and the team. So really excited to see what we can do with this. So speaking about what we can do with this, it seems like from the chat that I've been reading, a lot of people would like to hear any more details you can share about what you guys are planning.
Sure. Yeah. And I'm just just on the note you said, 100% of the clients that we work with and partners that we have all been screwed over by a corrupt marketing agency. They all have that story. And the story is always the same. They make big promises, they set high expectations, and then they don't actually deliver results at the end of the day. And that's why, and then often we're like, that diamond in the rough they're hoping that can actually be the vendor they want. So what are we planning on doing with you guys? So we as you know, we're looking to do a major marketing campaign and content push here in the near future. And in order to do that effectively, um in the web3 gaming market and in this market that you guys are all in, most people have heard of Splinterlands, right? Or if they haven't, or they've heard about it at least peripherally. And so we want to give the market a reason to give Splinterlands a second look and to have a transformation for Splinterlands that they can see not only through the marketing, but also through branding and through gameplay and the features that you guys are going to be rolling out here in the future. And so, what we're going to be doing with Splinterlands, and this process is already underway, and you can see some of the quality of the works that we've done for other brands. We're looking to upgrade the current branding and look of Splinterlands and elevate it to a premium level of quality that can meet and exceed the level of quality of brands like Magic the Gathering and Hearthstone, and certainly exceed the quality of like some of our other clients that we've served in the past, like Gods Unchained. So that's number one. And so that branding refresh, well, let's call it an upgraded branding, is going to visually and through audio and through video show the market that Splinterlands is worth taking a second look at. It's new and it's better than ever. And so that's a process that we're going through. That's going to include um, it's not going to include any, just so if in case anybody out there in the audience is worried, we're not going to drastically change the logo, for example, or even the color scheme, or want to interfere with, let's say, the trustworthy sort of charm that Splinterlands has right now. We're looking to enhance it and to do, like, let's call it, it's more of an upgrade branding job that we're doing with you guys. It's not a rebranding of any description, just to ease any concerns that you guys might have there. Okay. But that is needed because if you put the current look and branding that you guys currently have against competitors where we're trying to acquire their users, it's clearly multiple points lower in terms of quality. Anyone can see that that's being objective simply because you guys haven't made the investment into that as an organization. You've been focusing on your product, your games, word of mouth. It just hasn't been a focus. But in order for us to open up new market and to open up larger customer bases for you, that's going to be one major part of what we're going to do. So that's going to be a visual branding upgrade. We're also going to convert the visual branding upgrade into a motion graphics package. You can see like the stuff you see on the screen here where everything's moving and it has beautiful borders and backgrounds and custom animations. We're going to create a package like this for Splinterlands so that all future tutorial videos, all future live streams like this, and all future video content or any moving content of any description looks gorgeous and premium and meets the level of quality that Splinterlands actually has right now, but nobody can see it. And so we're going to pull that out and we're going to convert that into these video assets. So that's going to be exciting. And then how is that going to be expressed out there on the internet? It's going to be expressed through like a revamped website and homepage. It's going to be expressed through media and videos and trailers. It's going to be expressed through things like tournaments, campaigns, advertisements. It's going to be expressed through the images and designs you're going to see on Discord banners, social media posts, giving a total lift and upgrade to the entire thing. So that's a big part, is just the branding portion. But it's important. The point I want to make to all of you guys that are hearing this for the first time, the reason why we're doing all of that isn't just to meet and exceed the quality of competitors, but it's so that everyone understands that this is a new Splinterlands, a better Splinterlands, an upgraded Splinterlands. And it's time for you through this campaign and through the works that we're doing with you to take a second look and to understand this is actually the best card game in this space. And you can see it in every image, every video, every asset, every message that you're receiving, and you're going to see it in the game as well. Does that make sense, Matt?
Yeah, no, I mean, obviously, me and you have talked about this a lot, so it's great to share it with the community. Um, I was thinking we were talking a little beforehand, potentially doing a little Q&A segment just specifically for you, Andrew, in the middle of the thing here before we get to the full Q&A segment at the end. Um, is
I
that
have more. I have more to tell everyone about what we're going to do. That was just one piece. Do you want me to? Do you want
No,
me to
no, no.
tell
Let's
more
let's
about it?
yes. So I just let everybody know. Finish. Give us the whole picture. Everything. I'm sure everyone wants to hear that. But then, if you do have questions specifically for Andrew, we'll do a little mini Q&A for him right here when he's done the full presentation. So get your questions ready, and then but any other questions that are not specifically for Andrew, keep to the full Q&A at the end.
Yeah. And I want you guys to ask me the very hard questions that you're actually thinking about marketing, because I understand like BS radar goes off when marketing guys talk about marketing and you're wondering like, how are you actually going to generate results? How are you, like, ask me the very hard questions. I'm happy to answer those and I'll have real answers for you. Like I uh, so so branding was just one area that we're working on. Other areas include crafting the entire campaign for a major, let's call it, it'll be like a product release to go along with that. And so that campaign is going to include the creation of graphics. of videos, of booking KOLs and influencers, of running advertising, and of revamping the way that people come into the Splinterlands ecosystem through website and through like a onboarding experience. And so that's going to allow us to basically get our message out there through multiple channels. And I don't like to go all in on one marketing channel. I like to diversify how we're spending money across multiple channels and finding which channels generate the most results and which ones do not, and then kill the ones that are not generating results with fire, and then double down on the channels that are generating results with additional budget. And so for Splinterlands, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be doing a marketing campaign across, let's call it paid advertising channels. We're going to be doing it across organic social media channels. We're going to be doing it across earned media channels. So that's like getting mad on interviews and Twitter spaces and stuff like that to get the word out there in Web3 gaming. We're going to be doing it through private forums like Discord and Telegram. And then we're also going to be reaching out through influencers and KOLs. We have our own talent agency where we have most of the big Web3 influencers booked to our talent agency, and we'll be booking them to be playing Splinterlands and to be doing events. And then the sixth channel is events. And we are talking with Matt and the team about running tournaments and game nights and events. So as you can see, I'm looking to not go all in on one or two ways to get attention and customers and players for Splinterlands. We're going to be splitting that budget in our activities across 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 horses in this race. And whichever horse is generating the best results, we're doubling down. And so that way we're being results driven on what's bringing in the most players that are spending money and are re-engaging in Splinterlands and actually care about your IP and actually love your game. Those are the channels that we're going to go after harder because that's what's going to build Splinterland's success in the long term. When Matt first booked us and just said we want to be business partners, the assumption here isn't that we're doing marketing. The assumption is that we're turning Splinterlands into a profitable business, is the way I look at it. And so we're just here as partners to help you guys make that happen. And sure, marketing is an important part of that. But ultimately, that's the goal, not cool, flashy trailers or a bunch of BS and nonsense. And so that's generally going to be our approach to the campaign. And so you're going to see a lot of new things marketing wise in the campaign that you've never seen before from Splinterlands, like what happened over at Illuvium when I joined Illuvium. Illuvium had never made a good video or any video of any description until I came on board. And then we created everything from scratch for them. And then we did some successful campaigns with them. Like, for example, the land campaign we did where I sold $72 million in land. So that's the campaign. But wait, there's more. So the last piece that's really important that all of you guys should know is my intention is to build reoccurring, profitable marketing initiatives with you guys. So it's not just about doing this one campaign and getting a bunch of players and then me saying, peace out. Hope you guys enjoyed it. We're going to go hit the road. I want to have things like reoccurring tournaments, reoccurring advertising campaigns, reoccurring influencers that are booked to be supporting Splinterlands, and reoccurring activities that we can go back to over and over and over again that are going to consistently generate new players for the player base and then re-engage the existing players that you have in your player base over and over again so that this becomes a sustainable and profitable marketing operation. That's our intention. And so, step one, we do this branding and this messaging revamp. Step two, we deliver that new brand and that new message into the market with this campaign. And then step three, what worked best in the campaign, we put it on the rails and we repeat the winners over and over and over again. So the Splinterlands is sustainable and profitable. That's the intention. Does that make sense? I mean, I know it makes sense. I always say this. Does that make sense? I always tell people, I know it makes sense to you, Matt. We've been talking about it for months. And same thing with Chris.
Well, yeah, I mean, to add some commentary, one, when Andrew says profitable, right? So normally these discussions are internally, I imagine, between the marketing companies and whatever company they're working with, right? But here it's, I hope most of everyone listening understands this, but I want to reiterate it just in case because it's so new and unusual and different. Um, Profitable means for you guys, for the community, right? So that the stuff that is sold in the game, the new Conclave Arcana packs, right? That Andrew and his group's job is to get as much money coming into that, right? Coming into cards, coming into all the assets in the game, and that all goes to the players either directly through the market or through the DAO. And then, hopefully that will allow the DAO to continue to fund the company to keep building new features. But yeah, so that's one of the, just part of all what's cool about everything that we're doing and being able to bring Andrew and his team on. Like it's to make the business when he says the business profitable, it really means the ecosystem and everyone here. And so that one of the greatest things that I really liked about working with Andrew and his team so far is that they're not just like, all right, we're going to do all this stuff, we're going to throw this stuff out, it's going to get a bunch of people in. They were like, before we even got into all that, they're like, well, wait, if we get all these people in, are they going to stick around? Are they going to spend money? Like, and so they were saying a lot of the same things that a lot of you guys have been saying, like, well, we need like a good tutorial system. We need them to be able to like have a good experience. We can't just say like, put a paywall in front of their faces. So a lot of the stuff that we've been doing and working on, the ideas that we've had have actually come from working with Andrew and his team, who like really seem to care a lot about making sure what they're doing actually brings money into the ecosystem and making sure our product is ready. They have given us whole documents about why they think guilds are so important, how we can upgrade them. We're actually not going to be unfortunately able to do half the stuff that they've suggested in the time frame that we have, but we're picking the most important things. And we're going to keep working on them. So they're I would say also like a game design partner.
Yeah.
So in addition to just a marketing partner, which is what I really liked. I mean, they seem to be genuinely like concerned about not just, hey, they get a bunch of money, they deliver a bunch of people to the
Yeah.
door, but make sure like it actually is profitable for the ecosystem, because that that means we're going to keep doing it, right? Ultimately, we keep this going, we do hopefully more and build on it. And it's just like a virtuous cycle of advertising, bringing more money into the ecosystem, which lets us do more advertising and promotion.
Yeah, and that makes us a difficult sometimes. I know. Chris knows, a marketing group to work with is because we aren't just willing to just take your money and then run a flashy ad campaign and then peace out. What we want is to be your business partner for the next 5 years. And so we can't be your bit like we make just selfishly a lot more money as a company if Splinterlands is our client and our partner for 5 years than you are if we're just doing this one campaign for you. And so we ask a lot of probing questions about how is this going to re-engage players? How is this going to drive the growth loop, it's called, for your business? And that's why I brought in my coworker, Scott McCarthy. He's not on the call right now. You're familiar, you guys are all familiar with his work. He launched PlayStation 4 and he created Twitch Rivals. If you guys have ever seen that, it's the most successful Twitch programming ever made, and he's actually um, taking the lead on understanding the product of Splinterlands and making sure that the product is what it needs to be, so that the marketing can drive recurring player base and retained players, and ensure that both product and marketing are working together for that. We're calling it a profitable business. But in this case, the profitable business means that the players profit and that the community profits as well, which makes it a unique in that way.
Yeah, profitable ecosystem, I would say.
Ecosystem.
Um,
There you go.
Do you want to jump into a Q&A?
I'm happy to answer any questions anyone has.
All right.
Hit me with
Well,
it. Ask me the very hard ones. Call me a villain. I'm ready. Let's go.
all right. So Ron, if you could put the Q&A start thing in the chat. Everyone hold your questions until we get that started. We'll do it maybe for 20 minutes, which will take us to noon Eastern, and cut it off there because we have a lot of other things to talk about, in the time. Okay, Q&A session is now open. Um, if you want, Andrew, I could read you the questions off of chat.
Sure.
Um, so the first question from Dehota uh, is for Andrew and Matt. Will all this be in place for the launch of Conclave Arcana?
Yes. That's the
Yes.
intent. We're gonna have the um fresh branding, new messaging, motion package, website upgrade, new media materials, original content, influencers booked, advertising booked, tracking and reporting, and then profitability, hopefully, tracking done with the business parties internally within Splinterlands. So when we run ads and we get attention up here at the top, they come to your website, they get converted into playing. Then once they're in the game, we have certain milestones in the game we want those players to hit. So we know which users at the top are coming in this campaign and then what activities they're achieving inside the game below. So all of that is going to be in place for that. Yes, that's the intention.
Yeah, this is all together, right? The launch and the marketing
Correct.
all being created together. So that was a good question. Next question is from Fat Jimmy. Do you guys plan, you guys being Not Corrupt Media, to include the creation of in-game instructional and onboarding tutorials, or is that for the Splinterlands team to create?
We need to sort that out with you guys. I would prefer, so in some regard, we are going to be involved in the production of those videos because, like I mentioned to you guys earlier, we're going to be creating this new motion graphics package that's going to have these beautiful, like the thing you see on the screen. It's got like the transition animations and the borders and the no 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 no. I'm gonna want our team to probably do the edits and the premium motion on top of those videos, and obviously, we will be collaborating on whether we are going to book the talent to do those and take full ownership, and what level of ownership you guys are going to have in house on those. In any case, we will have our hands all over them to make sure that they are the best possible. I have, just so you guys know, I have personally, as Andrew Wall, produced 1,200 tutorial videos, and my media companies in total have produced over 6,000 tutorial videos about gaming only over the past 15 years. So I know how to make them.
Uh, awesome. Okay, the next is from Quantum Nachos. I guess it's kind of two questions here, so I'll split it up. The first one is basically to ask why, if you've been in the space for over 4 years, haven't you reached out to us sooner?
So I've been talking to Patrick for years. And so I had Patrick on my shows over at Illuvium. And I want you guys to know though, before I have this thing called Not Corrupt Media and um the green room, I was full time, more or less, working on Illuvium in particular for like 2.5 years. Like that was the vast majority of my time was only working on Illuvium. And then over the last year and a half, I've expanded into working on other game studios like Gods Unchained, Colonize Mars, Splinterlands, Dark Times, Cornucopias, a bunch of names that you guys are familiar with. So that would be why. But yep.
Yeah.
Didn't I reach out though? I guess that's the last thing. I don't really do. We don't really do active reach out style sales at the green room and Not Corrupt Media. 100% of the clients that we have are referrals. So it's someone telling someone else, I've worked with these guys before. you need to give them your time and have a conversation with them because they know what they're talking about. So that's the way we do biz. So we meet people at events, we have colleagues in the industry, and then we have people refer business to us. They're almost every other marketing agency, their strategy, and I'm sure you guys have seen it in your inboxes on if you're on LinkedIn in particular, it's unbearable. You have a million effing dudes that'll tell you they'll enhance your SEO and your advertising and reach out to you with sales. We don't do that. So that's
I
the
get them
best
every
answer I
day.
can give to that question.
Yeah, no, that's great. And I guess, I mean, even though you've been in the space for over 4 years, like you mentioned, you've only been on your own getting clients for not that long, about a year and a half, and we started
Yeah.
working with you 6 months ago. So it
Right.
actually was
Right.
pretty quick in the scheme of things.
Yeah.
And the second thing that Quantum Nachos mentioned, which isn't exactly a question, but that in his experience, he says that our Splinterlands tournaments in the Splinterlands game don't help bring in new players.
They do not.
um, so yeah, if you want to talk about what you mean by tournaments, it's because it's not necessarily just like more tournaments in our existing system.
Yeah. I'm well aware of how esports and tournaments work. Just so you guys know, I've run League of Legends esports tournaments, StarCraft 2 esports tournaments. I was a professional esports caster, and I did the official esports content for multiple major esports. And so if you guys are familiar with the ESL, they're the esports production company behind all of the major esports. Started their YouTube channels and got their media business up and running. So I am so deeply familiar with the results that happen from esports and tournaments and the results that don't happen. So in-game tournaments, the entire function of those, as you guys know, is to just retain existing players and to re-engage them and to have you coming back for more. Now, the types of tournaments I was referring to a moment ago are the types of tournaments like Twitch Rivals, if you aren't familiar with Twitch Rivals, where the concept we have is we're going to get influencers and content creators. Those content creators are going to have their own teams, their followers and their audience. And we are going to organize a tournament with each of these content creators, team creator 1, team creator 2, team creator 3, team creator 4. This is what Scott did over at Twitch Rivals. And we are going to set up tournaments for them to play Splinterlands. This is going to be on channels that are not your channels. These are going to be on platforms that are not your platforms, reaching audiences that are not currently your audience. It's going to be reaching the audiences of all of these influencers and of our like partners like Lizard Labs. And so those tournaments are going to have connected to them bounties where the people participating in the tournaments can virally share the tweets, the posts, and participate in the tournaments and play Splinterlands to earn rewards. Virally sharing those tournaments and spreading Splinterlands to more and more players. And then those tournaments will have their own token rewards that come along with them. And then it's going to convert new players that are newly discovering Splinterlands to then come in game. Now, once they're in game, they can do the in game tournaments as well. And so that's our strategy. It's called Play for Airdrop. We're currently talking with the Splinterlands team about it. And it's a strategy that we have that costs no money in cash to do. And basically, the game studio that wants to do this can just provide tokens only. And then we use those tokens to do game nights where I'm going to take this one off. It's weird to have me talking and me talking, but they do like game nights to welcome new players, recurring tournaments, and these recurring tournaments have influencers that are increasing the reach, and then bounties that go along with them to virally share those tournaments and those activities, all funded entirely just by tokens. And so the reason why we're talking about this with you guys is because we know that you guys don't have like a $50 million marketing budget over here. You're not Call of Duty, right? We're trying to responsibly spend, any cash budget that Splinterlands has, and maybe even any tokens that you may have, and use those as responsibly as possible to expand your player base and to reach that profitable business outcome. And so that's what we're going to be doing with tournaments. And so that type of tournament structure I just told you about a moment ago is all about expanding your reach through viral sharing and through content creators promoting. And then we can even boost those with advertisements and have it on other platforms. So it's all about new player acquisition within the Web3 gaming space that we're in right now. And so there may be, you guys may see a proposal or some word on what we want to do there in terms of budget in that regard. But that's an initiative that I think has worked well for other Web3 gaming studios that we've worked with. And I think would be a great fit for Splinterlands because if you have recurring tournaments, you're re engaging players over and over again and not just blowing some money out there on the internet and then hoping good results happen on the back end. We want people to come back over and over and over again, play tournaments over and over and over again, and re engage with Splinterlands and have a reason to return each and every week.
Yeah. Um, I want to cut off the questions for this segment. So Ron, if you could end that, we have a bunch of them left. So Andrew, I appreciate how thorough you are, but I want to try to move through a bunch of these. Um,
I can give shorter answers.
yeah, we're gonna need to. There's a whole lot of questions here. I wasn't sure how many we would have, but
Okay.
it's good. I think there's a lot of excitement for what's coming up and what you guys can do with us. Um, so the next one from Gathering the Magic: how will the look of Splinterland, specifically the landing page, change to attract new players?
Yeah. So we're going to have a, let's say, refreshed visual uh, look, which is going to probably retain a lot of your existing colors and aesthetic and is going to kind of refresh the logo. And so there's going to be a visual upgrade. We're going to have a new message for Splinterlands that is easy to understand and helps players understand number one, the value and the values of Splinterlands when you first arrive. Then number two, the benefits of participating in Splinterlands. And then number three, what are the features that you offer that are delivering those benefits, which embody those values? And what I typically like to do on home pages for games, especially in this space, is I like to make a what I call a grand slam offer. It's an offer that the new user cannot refuse. And for like basically no money at all, you get all of these, and it's going to be new player focused. All of these new player focused related rewards if you just opt in right now. So we're not just asking you to play Splinterlands. You're going to get this package that you just can't say no to. That's going to give you thing one, two, three, four, and five. And it's going to boost you as you come in as a new player in Splinterlands, and you're going to love it. And that Grand Slam offer, when they buy it, they'll then come play Splinterlands and they'll feel more invested in Splinterlands when they enter the game. And so that new homepage is going to have that entire flow and it's going to be totally revamped.
Cool. Yes. Let's. The next one is from AP Risen. Can we get some kind of marketing roadmap, if possible, for this year? Something they can look for and be prepared for it.
Yeah. So what I think what would yeah, I don't want to say the wrong thing here, but what you really want to know is what the product roadmap is. And just know that whatever the product roadmap is, there will be marketing to support that. But I'm not going to promise a product roadmap because I've done those in the past. And yeehaw, that was exciting to watch all the problems that ensued from that. Because as you guys know, when you're trying to put together gaming and you're trying to put together blockchain and you're trying to hit deadlines, things change.
Yeah, I agree. We need to get back on the Splinterland side, putting out product roadmaps more generally, and then yeah, I think the marketing is going to effectively follow that that roadmap. So that one's more on us, I think. Um, the next question from Intrepid Surfer: do you, Andrew, play Splinterlands and/or own Splinterlands assets?
Nope, not yet. So my intention here in March is for me to play Splinterlands and own Splinterlands assets.
Well, you do
as
own
we
some because, you have agreed to take a portion of the payments in SPS tokens.
Okay, that is true. So my process when I work with clients is 60 days prior to me doing a campaign about a game. I will then play the game hardcore. I will then climb the ladder and then I'll beat everyone, obviously. So get ready for that. But that's my 60-day lead up window. And I get super engrossed into it and need to deeply understand all of the game mechanics and the product. Because if my team is going to be doing a campaign about it, I need to know what the cards are, the characters are, the gameplay mechanics are, and these things. Now, in terms of tokens, yes, to your point, our our company has agreed to take instead of cash a significant amount of our payment in locked up SPS tokens. Just so you guys all know, uh, so that means that in order for those to be worth anything in the future and for us to make any profit here, really, we need to accrue value to your ecosystem. And so that's a concession I'm happy to make because I intend to actually grow this thing to be more valuable in the future. So that answers that question. But no, I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I'm a hardcore player yet. Um, and please understand that I'm currently working with multiple game studios, so I only have enough bandwidth as a dad, business owner, and also somebody working with clients to play a certain number of video games. So I'll be shifting over to Splinterlands here shortly.
The next question from Marshall Dragon of Doom Eden. I guess we answered the first part of, is the new card set going to be part of our new marketing? Yeah, 100%. It's all tied in together. The second part is he asked he'd love to nail down some time frames. So, I think it's okay if I share our current uh, time frame is around in May. So we plan for the pre-sale of Conclave Arcana to start in April, hopefully early April, and then the general sale, which when you can open the packs and do everything, along with the marketing campaign to really kick off in May of this year. So Andrew, it's going to be 60 days soon. So hopefully we'll look forward to you getting involved pretty soon there.
Yep, we
Um,
have a lot of work to do in a very short amount of time. So the pressure is on for us to deliver.
Yeah, 100%. And for the Splinterlands team, which we've
Yep.
been pushing pretty hard lately. Um, another question from Dehota. Will there be content for us to use, us being the player community, to help onboard players through the referral program?
I don't have a good answer to that right now. So if you're typically what I would do, the generic answer is we would create a media kit and a brand kit that we would share with creators, ambassadors, and referrers with a brand. Now, with the referral program right now, we may need to create unique content just for that program, but I can't tell you specifically what that is right now. We can
Yeah,
talk about that and we can better support that through custom content. Um, I just need to talk that through with you. We haven't talked about that much yet.
yeah, I think that's right. And obviously, a lot of our community members are super excited to help. I think with this, so that is definitely going to be part of the planning. Is how can we get you guys all to make this even better? Um, the next question is coming over from YouTube,
Mhm.
but it seems to be cut off. So I'm trying to find it. Um,
Stop deleting people's comments, Chris.
yeah,
Sorry.
yeah. I only see it just says and that I had an idea that would only cost the creation of one card per year. Um, Ron's talking in the background. If you're wondering why there's silence and trying to clue me in on the question. It sounds like it was around having like a contest for Splinterlands, existing Splinterlands players to refer new people, and whoever gets the most referrals or something of that sort would get, some rewards, but I guess potentially new cards or in-game content. And I think that kind of goes into the last question of like part of this is working out how existing players can participate and kind of, organize that. So I'd say if you want Channel Magnetic, I apologize that it got cut off and I'm probably butchering uh, the idea. But if you want to post it either later at the end in the Q&A section or in the suggestion channel, or even just DM me later, you know, we'll we'll take a look.
But boosting referral programs is an amazing way for us to not have to obviously spend extra marketing bucks. And the more thriving a referral program can be, obviously, the more value you guys can get for helping market the game. And the less money we have to spend on marketing. Therefore, the more money can be spent on developing better products, better cards, more features, which is more important than spending money on marketing. So I love it. It sounds like that's something we need to follow up on then in our marketing conversations is for us to better understand the referral program and what we can do to double down on that.
Yes. All right. We still have a bunch of questions. Want to try to go through them quickly, but with trying to still get them answered. Um, the next question from Cal Jericho: do you believe that compelling lore can play a part of onboarding new players and expanding the Splinterlands player base? And would you use this to assist with your marketing?
Yes and no. So compelling lore is not a great hook for a game typically. Um, However, like with the type of marketing that we have planned for you guys, I think compelling lore can be a great follow-up with somebody who has expressed interest, is having consideration about Splinterlands, and maybe needs to be warmed up a bit as a potential player or customer. And so that's typically where I kind of put lore generally with Web3 games. So, for example, once you've opted into an email list, I'm talking strictly as a marketer. You've opted in on an email list. You've opted in on the Discord server. You've played the game already. You're on Telegram. What we would want to do is deliver some lore to keep people engaged, to get them to fall in deeper love with the IP, and then to get them to want to return and feel like they have an investment in the stories of the characters and the stories of the universe. But typically, you aren't going to put your lore up there in like the advertisements or the posts that people are seeing first touch on a brand. Certainly, the characters will be in there, and certainly the world will be in there, but we're not talking about the lore and the stories there today. Now, down the road, doing so might make sense, but typically, you don't double down on the lore in your top level marketing until you have a large player base. Take League of Legends as an example, if you guys are familiar. It was just a game. But then, like 10 years later, they're doing the Netflix show, the anime, the comic books, the novels, and those sorts of things to get the existing player base to fall in further love with the universe of League of Legends. So that's typically how that goes.
Awesome. Yeah, I guess I definitely agree with that. The next question from Mark Hoare um, is he says, I love trailers. Trailers turn heads. When will we have the first trailer? And can we expect something before the Conclave Arcana pack sale? Would the trailer be specific to the Conclave Arcana release or whole Splinterlands game specific?
I can't tell you precisely what the trailer is yet. So, literally, the job we're doing right now is specking out the campaign itself and then what video assets we need for the campaign. So, as you can see, based on what I'm showing on the screen, we're capable of doing every kind of trailer ever. This one's one we did for the NHL, for example. So, I'm just going to be honest with you guys. I'm not going to suggest a big splashy trailer here because those are very expensive, like a big cinematic lore oriented splashy trailer. I'm going to suggest something that's cost effective that communicates the benefits and features and values of Splinterlands. And it's probably going to sit more in the zone of like an explainer type video than something like a gorgeous 3D cinematic. I mean, maybe we'll change our mind if we can do something cost effectively, but I just want to be very responsible with the runway of Splinterlands and how we're and what I'm suggesting you guys spend your money on. So I understand that cinematic trailers do an emotional hook with customers and get them to turn heads, but I also understand budget limitations and where Splinterlands is currently at today. And we're not looking to blow it out with a multi-million dollar budget right now. So I'm just keeping it real with you guys. And so it would be irresponsible for me to try to convince Matt to spend on something like that right now. I just don't think that would be ethical.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree with that. Focus more on the what's it called? The key differentiators of our game. Uh,
Yeah. Let me just show I can just show you an example on the screen of like we can do cool trailers like this right here. This was for Illuvium Land. This is not cinematic, but it's just it moves, it looks beautiful, it's cool, but it's just literally explaining what this product does and how it benefits customers. That's it. So something like this is totally in scope, that we can do for Splinterlands, but this is not a 3D cinematic with like a Illuvium character on it, for example. We did those with Illuvium, but they were much more expensive.
Yeah, that's a good segue because the next question is about our land feature and is land going to be part of our marketing? I want to just comment on that first, and I'll let you also. So I would say probably not at first for a couple reasons. One, land isn't really fully built out at all, and to the point where I think we want to like focus on that on our marketing yet. And two, I think land is for the more experienced user who has older extra cards. So the goal I think is to bring in a bunch more people and get them excited about the core Splinterlands game, putting in money, buying assets, and then hopefully naturally as land gets built out and more people come in, they'll gravitate over to trying out land as well as other parts of the game. Do you agree with that?
I need to talk about land more with you. But yeah, I mean, the intent is not to blow it out on a big land campaign right now. But I'll need to talk more with you about it. But generally, what you said makes sense to me. I haven't given it that much thought, so I don't want to say yes. That's what we're going to do, community. What he said. But we need to talk about it more. But generally, that makes sense. Yeah.
Cool. So Deuce Crypto says, I would love to create more content for Splinterlands, especially live streams and interviews. Will you have support for existing players to help them start and market their own channels? I guess that I know you're planning on, working with KOLs and streamers and all this stuff. Do you see opportunities for existing Splinterlands streamers to get involved in that?
If we're able to do the play for airdrop concept I told you about over the last week, literally the plan is to take Splinterlands streamers and content creators and plug them into things like game nights, which are streams, and weekly tournaments, which are streams, and have them contribute to the production of those and then promote those tournaments and do highlights from those tournaments and game nights and use those as marketing collateral for this campaign. So it's literally the plan to tap into the existing creators and streamers. But it's very important to set expectations that we also need to get new creators that are not currently covering Splinterlands in those as well to expand the reach. We have to do both. We can't just double down on the people that already know about Splinterlands and cover it. We also need to get new coverage, obviously, because we need new players. So it's both. So the answer is yes and more.
Cool. Yeah. So, to all of our awesome streamers, we'll be in touch when this gets started for how you guys can participate. Next question, kind of a funny question about the card frame that your head is in the video stream. I don't know if you can see that. I pulled it up on YouTube, but Splinterlands abilities that your card has are True Strike, Retaliate, Snipe, and Tank Heal, which that V says are perfect for a new branding marketing campaign. So I think Ron, did you pick those? Yeah,
Thank
Ron
you.
said he purposely picked each and every one of those because they he thought they fit Andrew's personality. No, I'm just kidding. Uh, but
Thank you.
Ron did choose your frame. So uh, Bolts85 has a question. Will you be sharing expense reports or summary timeline documents of the upcoming projects and tasks publicly on Hive? I guess that's more of a question for me. And I don't know. I generally would say probably not, just because that usually leads to everyone and their mother, complaining or having comments on every little line item, which
Yep.
isn't productive. And we've seen issues in the past with like Cryptomancer, for example, doing that. So, the funds that were raised from the Hive DAO were given to, me and the Splinterlands company, and we're going to be the ones going through that and ensuring we, are good stewards of the asset. But I think Andrew really quickly mentioned before that we've discussed potentially doing, maybe a DAO proposal for certain specific things.
Yes.
Um, and in that case, we would publish more information, obviously about what exactly we're doing or plan to use the tokens for, and then what the results are of that. So that's how I would answer that one.
Yeah, and obviously any DAO proposal needs to include like kind of like a business proposal essentially on what the funds would be used for. So we need to get that done as soon as possible if we're going to knock those sorts of things out in time for this campaign. So there is a sense of urgency, community. So get ready for that. And then I'm also happy to, and Matt, you can let me know, after this marketing campaign, we happy to report results, right, in an upcoming town hall or something on number of players acquired, number of assets generated, and like various statistics so that you all can know how the results, right? Like you need to know the results. But I do agree with you, having been in the DAO and governance process, showing people like every expense, it generates unnecessary quibbles with a few people and it just causes issues. So I think that's a good move.
Yeah, we'll definitely 100% be sharing results and numbers. I mean, we typically try to do that. So yeah, um, that you guys will see that stuff. A lot of that stuff is public also on like Peak Monsters dashboard and things. So hopefully you'll be able to very obviously see big upticks in the major things. All right, we have a couple questions left, um, and then I'll get back into the regularly scheduled content. Thank you for sticking with us for so long, Andrew. Question from Vugtis. Do you have any successful marketing campaign that raised multi-million dollars for a blockchain game in 23 or 24? Illuvium was popular during the 2021 pump, which is the easiest time to sell any product in the Web3 space, regardless of
Mhm.
quality. I'd like to say Splinterlands also acquire multi-millions from product sales during that time with no marketing.
Mhm. Yeah, so yeah, I do. Lizard Labs in particular, we helped them raise close to $5 million through a marketing campaign for that. I actually have that case study somewhere in these slides. I can pull that up for you. We did everything from them for them for that website. We did basically a lot of what we're talking about here. We did their strategy, their messaging, their branding, their campaign, their video, their hosting, original show, graphic design, all the services that we're talking about right now. We did that for Lizard Labs in 2023 and moving into 2024 with this campaign and help them fundraise 4.7 million. We also, it's not in this deck, we also helped them launch the Lizard Lounge app. And the Lizard Lounge app, we got them from 0 to 10,000 users in that app. And so far, they've distributed $3.3 million worth of crypto through their app. That's another one. With Illuvium in particular, when we did the Illuvium land sale. That was actually after the crypto market had tanked by about 50%. We did that sale after the 50% tank. And it was actually, we did that campaign, I think 30 days before the FTX collapse. So just to give you an idea of what moment in time we did that campaign, it was no bueno. And we sold $72 million dollars worth of land during that. And then with Gods Unchained, we did their trailers and many of their expansion marketing materials. I cannot tell you how much money they made with those, but they made money with those. Um, and so those are just some examples I can share with you. Where in sideways market and down significant down market, we've been able to generate results for clients. Uh, Also at Illuvium, there's public information about their Battle in the Beyond, or the I'm sorry, not Battle in the Beyond, Illuvium Beyond product. I can't tell you the exact revenue numbers on those, but they are significant revenue, and we sold those almost exclusively in disgusting bear market, down like 80-90% on the token markets. And the revenue on those was significant. Anyway, I could share, I've been doing this for a long time, guys, so I could share with you countless case studies of us selling millions of dollars of whatevers. I'm happy to go over those. So, yeah, I guess I could go on and on, but those are just some examples that maybe you guys could relate to specifically in Web3 gaming.
Cool. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
go
mean,
ahead.
that would be fantastic. So that was a good question. Also, there's one more question, even though it came in right after we cut it off. We'll get it in there. And it's, what is the numerical target amount for acquisition and retention of players on a monthly basis once we launch? And if we mark the results, how many players would we expect to net add? Um, I'll say that we've been talking about this. This is part of what we're figuring out as part of the campaign. Um, is target numbers and different levels of target numbers, and we're even working with Andrew to do some type of performance based piece of the compensation, um, to help further incentivize them to hit even higher numbers.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy to tell and everybody here what they could find out with their own research, which is just to set some expectations. I believe the statistic is only the top 3% of games in the Web3 gaming space have 100,000 monthly active users or more. Only the top 3%. And so for us to be able to achieve, you know, a six figures monthly active users number for Splinterlands, that would be a skyrocketing, user base into the absolute upper echelon of what's in this industry right now. As you guys know, and this has been pointed out by Splinterlands team as well, there's not really that many new players that have come in over the last few years into this space. So everybody that's here right now was probably here from the 2021 crypto boom, and then there are the folks that have stuck around. There's like in our research and our estimates, there's a single digit hundreds of thousands of players even possible to capture in the space that we're in right now in Web3 gaming right now. It's not millions. Okay. Now, if you want to start achieving these, and tapping into the millions, tens of millions, hundreds of millions, uh, total addressable market range, then you have to expand outside of the Web3 gaming bubble and go into Web2 gaming and mainstream. That is not our intention right now. We are looking to capture within the Web3 gaming space first, and then in the future, expanding into those larger markets. So just setting expectations. If we were able to achieve something like approaching like a six figures uh, monthly active users, you would be an exceptional all-star unicorn in the space. Okay. if you were able to get good, solid tens of thousands of monthly active users, you'd still be in the top echelons of the space. Like that's just the reality of Web3 gaming right now. We all hope markets turn around and there's a lot more attention coming in soon this year. Obviously, all of our bags are hoping for that, but we can't count on that when we're making marketing projections.
Yeah. So we're gonna cut off the questions there for Andrew in particular. We will have the normal, open-ended Q&A session at the end of the thing. There's one more. Ron is saying. I had already scrolled down. Can you tell me what the question is, Ron? Sorry, I know you guys can't hear this. I'm talking to myself on the stream. Oh, okay. It sounds like the one more quick question: is there a game plan for when the market downturns and Bitcoin uh, goes down?
Yeah.
Th- Well, I'll also say that's interesting because we haven't, in my opinion, we're still in the downturn. I mean, I know Bitcoin is at highs, but pretty much all other tokens are not. So I don't even think we've started to see the upturn yet. But I've obviously, you know, we've made a number of mistakes that we've talked about and are clear, the last time around. So myself as the CEO of the business am very, very cognizant of that and making sure that that will 100% not happen the next time around. I don't know what your thoughts are, Andrew.
Yeah, don't get as we've all discovered, having well, for those of us that have been through multiple crypto cycles, typically with like Web3 gaming type stuff, Bitcoin price is not what you need to be caring about. It's it has more to do with Bitcoin dominance, and it has more to do with altcoin dominance. And so, as it stands right now, liquidity has drained out of the altcoin market generally. We have a high level of Bitcoin dominance. And so, that's not helpful for us. So, Bitcoin price is not relevant. It's Bitcoin dominance that's relevant. So, once Bitcoin dominance decreases and then liquidity goes back into altcoins, that's when the space gets more attention from the speculator class. I agree with you. That has not happened yet. I'm looking at my ledger right now. I'm not seeing that number
Yeah,
go up yet, right? So I think we all know that this to be true. But if you're looking to have like a leading crypto indicator, take a harder look more at like Ethereum price would be more of a relevant indicator than Bitcoin price based on my
yeah.
experience.
Yeah, 100% agree. All right, we are cutting it off there. This has been a really good segment. It's been a while. Thank you so much, Andrew, for sticking around, for answering all these questions. There'll be possibly opportunities for Andrew or even Scott to come on maybe again in the future or as we get closer. Or the team could pass along questions if you want to post them in the town hall channel later. But thank you so much for coming on. I think everyone is super, super excited to see what you guys can do for us.
Thanks for having me. I'm so excited about the future of Splinterlands, and I'm just going to actually get to work right now on some of our plans. Have a great day, everybody. Thank you.
All right. See you later, Andrew.
Bye.
Okay. We have just over a half hour left of the normal time. Perhaps I could stay a little longer if we need. I'm gonna turn it over to Investigator first to give his update. If we could try to make it as brief as possible, that would be great. Not to downplay all of the work and stuff that you and the team have been doing.
Okay. Well, good afternoon. So we just had an update Tuesday, which Matt already talked about kind of at the top. So their main changes were the cutover to use the validator as the source of truth for SPS, and the changes to the seeking opponent through team create process. Uh, if you have feedback on the new team create, please let us know in the UX channel in Discord, or send your feedback to support through the in-game chat or the in-game link to the support site. There was a lot of other changes in the last update, but those are the two main big ones. We also have an update literally next week with more major projects. So hopefully, I know we don't like to give out timelines, but the plan for next week is to release survival mode and the leaderboard rework. As well as try to fix any issues that have been raised with the last update. I know there's a couple outstanding issues with the new team create changes and some of the other changes that we've been working on throughout the week. But yeah, the next two big things we plan to release are survival mode, which comes along with a rework of the leaderboard, as Matt kind of covered in the last town hall, I believe, his plans for how we would be redesigning the leaderboards to go out through basically every league. I think that's the short version since we're low on time. I'm sure Matt will probably want to expand on some of these when he talks about our progress on the various projects that we said we would do Q1. But the validator cutover is done. Hopefully, we'll have survival mode done next week. And then we've got a whole bunch of them coming out in March, hopefully. So it's very busy here.
I was on mute. Thank you, investigator. Yeah, I mean, it's behind the scenes, but I really just can't say enough how like amazed I've been, at you and the team, like just the smoothness, the amount of stuff that we've been doing, the smoothness of releases, all that stuff. It just continually impresses me and surprises me. um, so that's awesome, and I hope the community also sees and appreciates that. Um, now I want to turn it over to you, Nate, which is one of the most exciting things of most town halls. I think everyone was real bummed when you couldn't make it in January. So yes, I think everyone is dying for some Nate eye candy here.
Yeah.
What do you got for us today?
Well, before I dig in, and I don't know how much of this to share because there's not a whole lot of time left, but I don't want to take away from whatever Blaze wants to talk about either. So, did you want to let him go first before I ramble on and on and on, or how do you
Yeah,
want to do it?
I'll keep it really short. I mean, how can I follow up from that? That was amazing from Andrew. Thanks, Andrew, for coming on. We're surrounded by absolute legends here. It's been an action-packed 4 months. Investy and the team have just been killing it. Nate with his graphics coming together, and watching the priority list that we had back when I came on in October just starting to get knocked out, right? So I hope you guys all enjoyed the calm before the storm, because things are about to heat up. And this team is absolutely delivering. I got Royal Eagle, Lily Fire. It's 7 days a week, basically. But we're committed to this. And as you can see, I'm surrounded by talent, and we're going to do this right. And our first priority is tackling Web3, and then we're venturing on to Web2. It's just how it's going to go. We have the potential to be number one, and we're going to do all we can to get there. So thanks to the community for sticking in with us and producing content and being on X and being active. Our numbers are great. Again, just organic creative right now. We're not doing that big push because we want to make that good first impression. And just watching the campaign mode and everything else come together, you guys are really going to enjoy it. In addition, is Conclave Arcana. I can't spill the beans as much as I want to. I see the DMs, guys. I appreciate it, but it's going to be action packed, not just for the new players, but for us as players. It's turning into something great. So I'll leave it at that, and thank you.
Yeah,
Nice.
thanks, Blaze. I mean, obviously, like Blaze is the main one working with Andrew and that team to like make all the stuff happen, and kind of be the liaison between the two groups and everything. So really happy to have him on board to do that, because I just don't think we had anyone in the organization, certainly not me, to take that on. All right, without further ado, let's go over to Nate.
Yeah, definitely. So just to give you guys a high level view of what I'm going to try to bum rush through as fast as I can in case there's any last minute questions for Matt at the end of the town hall, which of course there's going to be. So I will try to speed through it as fast as I can. But essentially, I'll start off with maybe a little bit of mobile refinement, maybe go into campaign mode, which right before this meeting, Matt was like, "Hey, Nate, are you going to have anything for campaign mode?" Yeah, I got something together. And then conclave, of course, that's a good ending to whatever I'm going to share. So let's start off with refinements. We just had the maintenance recently, and you guys saw a lot of changes for gameplay screens and whatnot. Those of you who are wondering, like, well, is that it? Besides hot fixing the moving your team around on the slots and other things like that, yes, we are going to continue to refine. Of course, we were just kind of like, I think the team was just so excited, just get it out, that clearly there's some stuff that didn't quite make it in, designs that haven't yet been implemented, and I wanted to be able to share a little bit of that with you guys, so you guys don't think, well, we're satisfied, we're moving on to other things. Whether it happens in the very near future or whether it's in the distant future, the design specs are ready to go. Development team has them. For example, for those of you, I saw a lot of discussion in Discord about mobile. Like, hey, can we refine this a little bit? This is how I like to play the game on the go. So let me kind of share with you filter panels. Now, of course, everything's TBD. Everything's subject to change. This may not be what it ends up looking like, but ultimately, for instance, this is the default filter panel at the bottom. Excuse my, I made a mock-up of myself for the freaking cards. Ignore that. But essentially, the default filters at the bottom are the most essentials. And then if you tap the little gem in the middle of the filter panel up top, then you can expand it and perhaps change the number of cards that show up, or look at additional options, whether it's looking for an ability or toggling between standard or gold foil and mana cost and all the other stuff. So I want to let you guys know, hey, look, maybe it feels a little bit clunky at first right now while you're playing on mobile, but we do have plans to refine that experience for those who like that kind of mobile experience, because we are trying to take on a more mobile first mentality when we go through the designs of how the gameplay is realized, what your experience is. Same thing, I think Matt was the one to kind of spark the muse for what to do with the navigation. So this is kind of like an example of what it might end up being like when you click on play. Instead of just a drop down list, let's kind of like make it more immersive, more engaging, more visually and aesthetically pleasing. And while we're at it, why not introduce certain hub or dashboard data, so that before you even dig into that, it's not there. But if you scroll up, you might be able to see, hey, when's the last time I harvested in land? So whether you even want to go to land. You might see, what's my highest ranking, or what chapter am I in campaign mode, things of that nature. Just to give you another example of how that could look for, let's see, what's the next parent category? Shopping. So this would be like, maybe how shops look, maybe card packs displayed. Oh, Conclave is released now. So before you even click on it, what's available and what's the latest auction, or what's the latest promo event. You get access to that data. And the same holds true for every single directory or hub landing page. As you click on this stuff, you can kind of like look at it as a dashboard experience and see that data, and then decide what you want to do from there. So I thought these would be like really just quick, easy touch points to kind of make the mobile experience feel a little bit more engaging and more fun to interact with, more delightful, if you will, and more like a game, right? And that's what we all kind of want out of Splinterlands, is to interact with this mobile app and have fun. So we're going to work on making it more fun for you guys. Now let me move to campaign mode a little bit. as we talked about, now tomorrow's, I think, Blaze, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think tomorrow will probably be my first meeting with Andrew and the guys for the marketing to kind of go over how can creative support whatever directives we're going to have for whether it's a branding refresh or whether it's the homepage or whether it's for instance onboarding in general. I do know that for the past year, creative have been hard at work in creating assets and cutscenes and animations, all kinds of stuff to try to engage a brand new player with their first time experiencing the Splinterlands universe. So we'll see how that develops. Again, everything I share is TBD and subject to change, primarily because of that, because of some of the things you just heard from Andrew. Is like, hey, we might take a little tweaking, a little refinement, but ultimately, I think it's worth sharing because this is what we're currently in the progress. We're currently in the works of development and implementing. In fact, the development team has a lot of this stuff and has already started on some back end work and hopefully have some front end work to share relatively soon. But let's start off with what is a new player first engaging the website? What are they confronted with? Well, they're confronted with the option of like, hey, do you want to uh, learn about the game in a narrative fashion, in a more immersive way, or do you want to just battle right now? I want to skip all that. If they do choose to just battle, they're going to be presented with hopefully more and more contextual tips. And you guys have already got a taste of what that looks like. The contextual tips, in my opinion, have been a great success. I think for those who just want to get right into the thick of things and not just not deal with a typical tutorial experience, then contextual tips is probably for them. But even if they decide to skip the tutorial experience or the campaign mode, I think it's nice that it's always there for them to come back to. It's always nice for support to always have something to reference so that if someone has a ticket or clicks the live chat or whatever and has a question about this and that, there's a chapter somewhere in the campaign mode that they could be referred to learn about any particular topic. So if they do choose to journey through the more immersive experience, I'm going to give you some. These are stills that I captured from all the animated cutscenes that have been done so far. So, for example, you'll start off traveling in a wagon on your way to the War Mage Academy, and there's voice acting and sound effects. You hear the horses clip cloppeting. You hear the wagon creaking. You hear your new friend, the gnome in the wagon, talking to you, and his mouth is moving and he's interacting, and it's all the cool stuff that we probably always wanted in a game. Essentially, while you're on this journey, the whole time, cutscenes are going to be skippable. So if you don't want to be immersed in the world and you just want to get to the tutorial, just click the skip button. But hopefully, I hope you don't. It's a soulful, engaging, fun experience. So for those of you who like that sort of thing, that'll be there. Eventually, your journey to the academy stops short in the woods. It's darker now. A dire bear is attacking, and now it's up to you to decide. Okay, how do I? Your first battle takes place essentially. And what's cool about this is we're trying to make it as again immersive, engaging. So the battlefield you're typically accustomed to seeing changes. You're now in the forest. There's the bear. You only have a training card. You'll notice it has a little wooden frame to it, so it's not a typical card. It's what we're calling foundation cards at this point. So you're using your foundation card to kind of like, oh no, the bear, and hopefully you win the battle, hopefully, and you continue on your journey over to the academy. When you first approach the academy, you try to give a sense of awe, a sense of like, whoa, wonder. And as you go up to the bridge and you're crossing the bridge, you're confronted at the gates with maybe this was inspired from the original tutorial. You're confronted by essentially a bully. And so Joey, who's obviously our narrative lead, did a great job in making that confrontation feel like, oh no, what's happening? And again, same thing. We want to make it immersive. So what does that battle look like? Well, let's take it to the courtyard. The battle, the environment changes. You might see the trees swaying a little bit, the glowing of energy. It's the magical academy, and of course, you're confronted by this veteran battle mage with higher level cards than you, and you're fighting for your life as the underdog. Once you show up to the academy, then you can go ahead and through this whole experience, you can manage through the chapters through some sort of navigational experience where you can kind of see ahead of time what are going to be the rewards for doing that chapter, which chapters are unlocked so far, what's your progress, do you want to go back and relive one of the experiences. So understand throughout this whole process, you're able to kind of like see what's going on, your progress through the chapters. I'm assuming that at launch, we're going to stick with the essentials, which might be about a dozen chapters. But we have Joey's done a great job of fleshing out, I don't know, 20, 30, 40, like there's a bazillion different chapters and different ways that they can be introduced to where a little light narrative injected, but mostly just, hey, how do I learn as quickly as possible in a nice, easy manner, which speaks to, like, for instance, here's an overview screen. So this is basically Matt was very hands-on on how this should be done. So rather than clicking next through a lot of dialogue, he wanted to make sure that things kind of had a steady, consistent pace where there was very limited drag throughout the process. So maybe you start a chapter and the first one of these chapters, like this is chapter 2, you got a dwarf professor talking about, like, well, you got these 2 cards, and now that I told you, battle. And then it's a very similar formula for all the chapters. You get a little bit of info and then battle, a little bit of info, battle, and every single battle results in immediate gratification, not only because of your sense of accomplishment, but because you get the rewards. And I'll share that screen as well.
Hey, Nate, what are archons?
A good question. So internally, as we were debating the onboarding experience, and again, TBD, even though we plan on doing it, we've debated it, we want to do it, we'll see what happens. But essentially, the concept was we want very much for the player to feel not just financially engaged or mentally stimulated, but emotionally invested as well. And part of that goes hand in hand with, well, you are a battle mage. You're not some guy sitting at a computer screen. You're a battle mage. You have enchanted cards. The crowds are cheering. You're in the arena. You're fighting for your life. We want that to be the experience, right? And so part of that has to do with, like, well, okay, so logically, right now we have, hey, I'm a battle mage who is summoning a summoner who doesn't summon anything, right? Because the battle mage doing all the summoning. So there's a break in the logic from maybe year 1 of Splinterlands, when we didn't realize how big and how we would expand the world, and how we would explain all these things. We want to make sense of it. So if we went back to the drawing board and said, well, if we were to start the game today, right now, what would we do differently? That's one of the things I think we would have done differently, is we would not have named them summoner cards, considering you are the summoner, not the card itself. So after some debating back and forth internally, we decided, well, Archon sounds like a pretty cool name. So if we end up changing the name of summoner cards to Archon, or if you see in some of the screenshots a reference to Archon, that's what that means. Is we were entertaining the notion that we might change the name of those cards, and it does allow more creative flexibility, in that originally summoners were all these wizard-looking people, and now archons could be more like warlords, or it could be tribal chieftains, or it could be wizards, or it could be anything that kind of buffs and supports and elevates the team in general. So I think it's cool. I think it's a cool concept. I hope you guys like it too. We'll see what happens. For the battle after the overview screen, again, same as like the other Battlefield screens you saw, a sense of immersion. You're now in the academy training room. You're talking to the other students while you're learning. Same thing with the professors. When the fight is complete, hopefully you guys won. You end up with a chapter complete. You get your rewards. You can go ahead and continue the next chapter, or whatever it is that you want to do. Maybe you feel brave enough to go tackle rank play after just a few chapters, and then you can always come back and continue your journey in campaign mode if you so desire. So I'm trying to zip through this as fast as I can, but I am pretty excited. Once we get through the tutorial chapters, I'm very excited for what the future holds for us for campaign mode in general, what that means for you as a player. I know that over the years, I've often seen requests and begging and pleading in Discord asking for a more immersive, like Pokemon style or something, or Yu-Gi-Oh, or some way where I can go enter into this world and just, you know, have a PvE game mode, a player versus environment experience. And this, I think, is going to be a really cool one. And then finally, let me end it with a little bit of Conclave stuff. So for Conclave, we have a lot of cool, I don't know. Last time I talked to you guys, I think it was in December, I was like, I think I'll just share some sketches, which I will. Like, for instance, I try to grab a few. I personally am a fan of Death Magic, so I'll start with that guy. I thought this guy looked pretty cool. I think if Joey, you can correct me if I'm messing this up, but I think that Craniax the Quick, this guy, I think he's one of the actual evil conclave members. He's like one of these mastermind wizards. But if I'm wrong, Joey, then you can go ahead and put no, he's wrong. He doesn't know what he's talking about. Ty Lore Swift. I liked this artwork. I thought it was very dynamic. I could just imagine this minstrel lady ready to swing her mandolin or whatever on someone's head. So I thought that was cool, the elf maiden doing that. And then this was one of my favorites. I kind of got a kick out of this, a chuckle. Joey called this guy the Mad Kaboomist. And so you can imagine you got this dwarf guy who's just like, and I thought, you know, why not? Why not show a render of this guy? Here we go. Oh, good to know, Joey. Thanks. So here is a more rendered version. This might be, I think this might be the first time we show a render of Conclave artwork, because before, up until now, it's just been sketches. But I figured, why not? We're getting closer and closer to Conclave. If one of the streamers ends up being able to share this alpha, they can at least be the ones to share the stats and abilities. I'm not going to share any of that because it's all still under testing, but I can at least share a little bit of artwork. Hopefully that's okay. So there is the Mad Kaboomist in all his rendered glory. And then Alfredo, our creative coordinator, said this person looks cool too. Gisarilla the Rima, I believe is her name. So if you want one more taste of rendered artwork, there is that as well. And obviously, just like we have been for the last few years, our art style, we try to find that balance between comic book and a cel-shaded anime type vibe as well. And we just kind of combine those two into something that we can make our own. And then I'll go ahead and end this with here is a look at what Alfredo is, our creative coordinator, again responsible for the vector art for these packs. As you guys are well aware, the packs, we have several for Conclave. There's going to be not one pack, but a bunch of them. So I'll from upper all the way to the bottom, we'll start with the starter pack. Then we got the standard pack. We got the alchemy pack, which is in the name. It's for gold foils, right? And then we finally end with the magical legendary, which gives you increased chance or guaranteed chance of a legendary card from the Conclave set. So we're real excited about that. For those of you who missed it in the previous town hall, that is the set icon right there in the middle. And then for those of you who want to get a taste of the actual branding or logo for the set, then here is we'll end it with that. For those of you guys who want to take to social media and hype up the upcoming set, there's a logo for Conclave Aquina with a glimpse at the actual evil masterminds of the Conclave scheming to take over the Splinterlands and take advantage of the fact that Siler of the Rift of the Chaos Legion is currently occupied. So they're striking when they see the opportunity, and we'll see how that ends up and how the inhabitants of the Splinterlands and you, the battle mages, react to that, particularly in the form of conflicts. So cool. I think I sped through that pretty freaking fast. If you guys have questions about any of that, because I went too fast, then by all means, Feel free to poke me anytime, but I'll hand over to you, Matt.
Yeah, well, I don't know how to follow that. Um, I have Well, I have all these notes that I put together before the town hall, and I haven't really got to any of them. So I'm also going to try to run through those pretty quick, and then I'll stick around for another 30 minutes to do the Q&A session. If you guys need to go, feel free. Um, but I definitely want to get that. And I want to talk a little more about some of the things you just showed in particular, Nate. So I'll start with campaign mode, um, and what Nate talked about as the foundation card. So I want to give everyone, I know I've talked about this a little bit, but I want to give everyone a full, hopefully, understanding of what this is. And I think, this is one of those things I'm like, we should have done this years ago, but the past is the past. So we're doing it now. Um, and it's really just what I think is a much, much, much better way. Um, to just get people into this game, and convert them into hardcore players like you guys. Um, so the idea is when you come in, you will have a PVE experience, which is called campaign mode. The first campaign will be consisted of a bunch of chapters that is specifically around teaching people how to play the game, but not hopefully feeling like a tutorial. So just feeling like playing the game. So you start with the simplest possible battle, that just lets you see what a battle is like and what you do, without focusing on anything else. And then you get rewards for doing each thing, just like in a normal game. You complete a quest or you completed something, you get rewards, you go on to a little harder one, et cetera, et cetera. So you come in, you have a PvE experience. You're not going to be thrown into novice or bronze or any of that stuff. I mean, unless you want to go do that. But you come in, you play these campaigns with stories and cutscenes that Nate mentioned. Um, but each one just literally gives you a specific card in this new foundation set that has the exact stats and abilities that we want to teach you at that point. You play a battle that is like fully designed for you to learn one specific thing, and you move on to more involved things one at a time. And each step of the way, you're earning more of these foundation cards until it gets to a point where you generally learn the basics of the game. And then there can be more campaign chapters that are just kind of general battles, that you have to play yourself. There's not any hand holding. Maybe you lose a bunch of times and it takes you a little while to beat it. They will get harder and harder, and you'll earn foundation set packs that you can open just like normal packs, get more cards, level them up. Um, and these foundation cards will then be able to be used in ranked play. So at some point, you will, go over to ranked play, starting in novice against novice bots and then getting into other players. But you should hopefully have a decent set of these foundation cards. Some of them might even be leveled up at that point to start playing with. And the key with the foundation set cards is that they'll be demonstrably worse than similar cards in all of the other sets. So, we're designing them. They're going to be very simple, not tons of abilities, very basic cards. They're going to have higher mana cost than your typical cards. So the hope is that, players have fun and they're engaged and they learn the game, and not just gameplay. We also plan to, in the future, have, campaign mode battles, that also, or other types of things like chapters with rewards that teach you about other aspects of the game, from the market and renting cards and all these other things. And then when players are ready, they can jump over to ranked play and have a decent set of cards to work with, and hopefully have a much better experience. And then, uh, the goal is to convert them ultimately into getting a spell book and into buying, or even if they don't get a spell book, we used to say they'll still be able to buy Conclave Arcana packs or cards on the market or any of that stuff. The coolest part, though, is we can expand on that. So we have this first campaign for new players to learn how to play. Obviously, all our existing players are more than welcome to do that too. And then we want to, in the future, add all sorts of more campaigns for everyone to enjoy, that are actually tough. You gotta figure out how to beat potentially boss monsters. It'd be a great opportunity to add boss monsters in there. And just have a fun PvE experience within the game. We can add new sorts of rewards, potentially glamours or cosmetics, or other things for people, for all of our players who play these other campaigns. We'll probably have different campaigns for different levels. Obviously, it'd probably be a different campaign for someone who has max level cards in Champion League versus someone in Silver League. We can have all that stuff, and ultimately the underlying system for all of that is the same. We have these different chapters. Each chapter effectively has a battle, and we pick the exact details of that battle. What the cards are, what the rule sets are, all that stuff. So we can make kind of cool experiences with that. The first of which is going to be our onboarding experience. So I'm really excited about all of that, in the sense that like this type of foundation set was something I've considered and thought about and wanted to do for a long time. Those cards, that's all going to be soul bound, right? So there's no market, there's no opportunity to farm them. But it'll give players a free to play Web 2 experience, and hopefully like gets them engaged in the game before they decide to jump over, hopefully, to putting money into the ecosystem. Investigator talked about survival mode and leaderboard rework that we are planning to launch next week. I think next Thursday instead of Tuesday, because we want to do it at the end of the season. So survival mode can start with a fresh new season there. I think everyone at this point knows about survival mode. I'm not going to go into it too much. There's been some questions about the rewards, so I'll reiterate that initially the team is planning to provide the SPS reward pool the same size as the other leagues. We would look to provide that for at most 5 or 6 months, and the hope is that survival mode is very successful and everyone loves it, and then there can be a proposal for the DAO to continue funding that through token inflation. One idea that I've been exploring is the potential. I know we've mentioned that bots are going to be allowed to play in survival mode, and in a lot of ways, it might even be geared towards bots more than the other modes. One of the things that might be cool with the hype and excitement around AI and AI agents is there's no, as far as I know, there's no technical reasons why AI agents couldn't be built to play Splinterlands in survival mode. So it could be, you put cards in an account and have an AI agent play. The AI agent could be set up to even take the rewards in that account and go buy or rent new cards on its own. I think that might be a cool opportunity for us to go out and even maybe go to different AI companies or agents or groups, and say, hey, like come compete and make some competition to see who can have their AI agent do the best in survival mode. And of course, they need to have assets to do that. So it's all accretive to the ecosystem. But I think that might be a cool way where we can kind of tap into all of the AI hype and get a lot of excitement in that, in a way that doesn't affect the other battle modes, and our human players. Investigator also mentioned the leaderboard rework, which is something we've talked about in the past. So next week, along with survival mode, we plan to add back in leaderboards for all of the leagues from bronze through diamond, and obviously champion is going to keep its leaderboard. I think we're planning to expand the leaderboard to 100 slots also for every league, and the rewards are going to be changed to glint instead of dark energy crystals. And then the way it will work is that you will qualify for a leaderboard based on your rating at the beginning of the season. So if at the beginning of the season you're at 1500 rating, you will be in the silver leaderboard for that whole season, regardless of what your rating goes up to. So if you get up all the way into Diamond League, you will still be competing for the Silver League leaderboard. But then in the next season, if you're in Diamond League, you will be in the Diamond League leaderboard. So it's something that a bunch of players have suggested over the years, is like a leaderboard system where effectively the top players move up, the bottom players move down. So this is effectively that. So we're not allowing you to like pick and stay in a league like we used to in the past, but every league will have a leaderboard, and you'll be slotted in the leaderboard based on your rating at the beginning of each season. So I think that'll be a cool way to give the leaderboard experience to more players at all levels of play, but also have it be a situation where it's not sort of exploitable by a player who just like purposely stays in a lower league where they can win the leaderboard every season. If they, if someone's on the top of the leaderboard for a season, they're going to be moved up into a harder leaderboard the next season. We talked, Nate showed some stuff about the mobile app. The mobile app is currently in testing on iOS and Android. We still have a bunch of UI work to do before we release it, but we want to have that out before the marketing and Conclave Arcana starts. So we'll have a mobile app in app stores and just a better mobile browser experience also. Land, I'll give a quick land update. I feel like there might be some people who might be interested in that. The development work for Land 1.75 is done. So it is going into testing shortly next week. We're starting to test 1.75. It's on track to be released in March. I think once that is done, the next focus for Land, we plan to focus on tying land assets into the rest of the game and adding utility for the resources and for research in particular. So there's all kinds of opportunities to do that. Mage wagons for Conclave Arcana, revival potions for survival mode, which I'll mention are not going to be part of survival mode at the launch next week. We're going to wait a little bit on that, see how Land 1.75 comes out, and see how survival mode goes, and then figure out what we're going to do for revival potions. Probably have Land involved in glamour and cosmetics when that comes out, and then any other cool things we want to do. But I think that's going to be the next phase before we add more features to Land. I would like to get utility for land resources within the rest of the game to just give more value and excitement to that, and then we'll jump right back into building out more features toward 2.0. And last but not least, Conclave Arcana. The launch of Conclave Arcana is going to be completely tied into our marketing strategy. It's all together. We're gonna, the marketing needs are going to be tied into what we do for the set and how we launch it, and vice versa. Like I mentioned, we want to do the pre-sale hopefully in early April, and the general sale to start end of April or early May at the same time as this whole big marketing thing kicks off. I think we talked about that. We're planning to add this like racial tribal mechanic into the game, so where cards will be identified as a dwarf or an elf, or all sorts of, our lore team has created all sorts of these different races for the cards. And then the idea is that there will be, potentially rule sets, abilities, summoners that interact with cards of, that interact with dwarves or elves. I don't want to get too much into detail, but that's kind of the cool new mechanic we're going to add. And there's also, at least one other cool thing we are trying to get in for Conclave Arcana, that I think it's a little early to start talking about yet, but I think it'd be really exciting from a collector perspective, I'll say. So that is a very brief overview of all the things we have going on. In fact, when I was working on writing all this stuff down, my notes for the town hall, I realized like I need a lot more dark energy crystals to be able to buy all the Conclave Arcana packs that I want to get. And I still don't know if I want to focus on gold foil or legendary packs, but one of the two. So I think after this town hall, I need to hit the market. And then I also need to decide, do I want to buy a bunch of dark energy crystals or potentially just buy a bunch of SPS with the goal of hopefully just burning those for dark energy crystals and getting more bang for my buck that way. But that was like that 100% was like, as I was writing all this stuff down, I was like, wait a minute, I don't have enough DEC for all the packs that I want to buy. So in case you guys were forgetting about that, Conclave Arcana is coming in the near future. We're going to hopefully have some pretty cool leaderboard rewards for the pre-sale. So get your DEC ready while it's still relatively cheap. All right, I'm going to stop there. I'm going to open it up for questions. I'm going to be around for about 25 more minutes answering questions, and then I might have to take a nap and give my voice a rest. So Ron, whenever you get oh, there you go. He's on top of it. The Q&A session is now open. I'm going to be reading Discord. It seems like questions can also be posted in YouTube or Twitch, and those will get copied over. So feel free to put them wherever you wish. First question is from Rudy. It's a difficult to pronounce name, and it says "Call me Rudy," LOL. So I'm gonna go with Rudy. I guess 4 questions here. 1, will some of the campaign cards randomly be foils? No, I don't. I think the plan for the foundation cards, which is what you're going to get through the campaign, is that there's going to be no gold foils there, just regular foil cards. If you want to get gold foil cards, you're going to have to buy the real cards in the game. I mean, the whole goal of the foundation mode campaign stuff, foundation cards and campaign mode stuff, is to give people a taste for it, teach them how to play, and hopefully get them to want to go and get the real thing. So that's where the foils will come in. Will campaign cards level up or just all level 1? Yeah, they're 100% going to level up just like normal. Same amount of levels and same amount of cards takes to level them. I think one of the campaign chapters is actually you get enough cards to level 1 up. So it teaches you that can happen and how to do it. And you see the stats increase. So you learn about that. And then, the goal is the players will have, a bit higher, like not just level 1 stinky cards when they transition over to ranked play. So, so that they'd be able to do well there. 3, if the cards don't level up, is there a reason why they have to be significantly worse? Well, they do level up, so that doesn't apply. But yeah, so the idea is like you can use the foundation cards completely. You earn them for free. You'll be able to buy the packs of foundation cards with Glint for relatively cheap in the Glint shop. So also anyone else, all of our existing players, if you guys want to collect the foundation cards, you should probably be able to get them relatively cheap in the shop. You'll be able to level them up, and new players will get, be able to level up their cards and move up in the game like a normal Web 2 game experience. And even be able to beat hopefully bots or things, well, not in modern, but beat lower level players that just have level 1 cards, and not a large array of cards. Players with just foundation cards, even though they're worse, they might be leveled up, and players could hopefully move through some of the leagues, and then at some point hit a barrier where they need to start getting Conclave Arcana or Rebellion cards on the market. 4, will there be some way to go through your cards and mark them to not be available for survival mode? Yes, there is. That's earlier this week, and part of the big update was the ability to create these custom sets. So I think the idea is you can create a custom set of all your cards, say that you want to play in Wild or Modern, or Brawls or tournaments or whatever. Create a set of all those cards, and you can mark that set as not available in survival mode. So if you go play in survival mode, those cards won't show up in your team collection screen. Question: when season rental go live? Well, season rentals are already live. It might be about the proposal. I don't know if the proposal is done yet, but there is a proposal. I guess it has about 1 day left. There's a proposal to no longer have daily rentals and only have season rentals. Assuming that is looking like it's going to pass, the team will get to that as soon as we can. I don't have a date for it. Although I am excited about that. I do think that's going to make a much cleaner, simpler experience in a lot of ways. Quantum Nacho says, my brain is a mush absorbing all this info. Yeah, like I said, last month we didn't have a whole lot. Nate wasn't here, and then this month it's like we're going long. Too much stuff to cram in. I guess it's just the way things go. But the question is, how did the 100-day auction results compare to expectations? Yeah, it's a good question. I'm not sure I remember exactly what my expectations are. But I think overall, the auction plus the Hall of Legends definitely, at least exceeded my expectations by a little bit. My base expectation was I hope to at least pay back the DAO the 600 million that we asked for to build it, 600 million dark energy crystals, and we went beyond that. I think it was around 720 million dark energy crystals that was earned for the DAO between those two things. So yeah, I consider that a huge win. And even if it was just break even, that still helps fund the company through all of this. So it's still a win, even if the DAO just broke even on tokens. So not only did the DAO make a profit on that, but also it allowed the company to keep building all this stuff that we're now talking about and is turning your brain into mush. Let's see. Next question is from Wibble. Any chance we could merge guilds in the future? Lots of guilds have few players contributing to building updates, grades, and it's very hard to upgrade any further. If guilds could merge with a penalty or a DEC fee into one more active guild, this could let us upgrade more buildings and burn DEC overall. Yeah, I mean, at some point, we want to do an entire guild upgrade refresh thing. I don't know, that's not on our, near-term roadmap over the next few months. We already have more stuff than I think we can handle on our plate. But yes, so I want to completely redesign guilds. We've talked in the past about the concept of guild alliances, which allow multiple guilds to work together. So that could be something similar to your idea of guild merging. But yeah, I think we're gonna do a big guild overhaul at some time in the not too distant future, and we'll take all that into account. Question from Fat Jimmy. So it sounds like the new leaderboards are random. You just end up where you end up. If you keep playing, if you're at the top of, say, silver leaderboard, you get pushed up to the bottom of gold leaderboard. I mean, yeah, potentially, yes. If you're at the top of your leaderboard, you're going to get pushed up. You're probably going to end up at a higher league, and you will be in that leaderboard for the next season. If you then get to the top of that leaderboard, then you'll continue to move up. Otherwise, you'll stay where you are, and you may not make it onto the leaderboard, or you may not make it to a high spot at the leaderboard. So I don't know. I wouldn't call it random. It's just you take at the beginning of the season, everybody in a certain league, and those players are all competing for the same leaderboard. Some of those players, might acquire a bunch of new cards. Some of those players might be really good and are just, starting out or something, and they'll move up into the next league. So the next season they'll be battling against other players who are on equal footing, or vice versa. You'll move down if you move down in leagues. So it's not random at all. But it's not the situation where you just like pick, I want to play in this leaderboard. It just, you get grouped into the group of players that are at your level, at least for that season. Oh, cool, Joey. I saw shared the draft plan for the tutorial. I don't even want to call it a tutorial. I'm calling it, I try not to look at it, or we're not going to call it a tutorial for players. It's just the game. So it's just, you're just playing the game, you're battling, and it happens to be when you first start, the first campaign is, very simple and teaches you. But I very much want players to feel like it is not a tutorial. It's just the game, and it gets, progressively more difficult to the point where they're just, playing the PvE environment. But they get to the point, once it gets past all Joey's planned out, teaching levels, then hopefully we just have a bunch of battles that are of increasing difficulty that players play. That's kind of the goal with that. Gathering the Magic is asking, what can we content creators help to do with the marketing push? Any tips? I don't know yet. I think, in maybe 30 to 60 days, hopefully we'll have a lot more details of exactly what is going to be happening with the marketing, what the campaigns are, what the different things are. Andrew talked all sorts of things, tournaments and game nights and all this stuff. So once we have all the info on all that, we will give it to all of you, the community, the streamers, hopefully with, details and instructions about how you can get involved with that. But I don't know any of that right now.
Great. Also, Matt, the content they're creating now is a great introduction for the new people that are coming in, so we can direct them to that content. Magic the Gathering does a great market watch, for example, where he goes through the whole market. So we'll be pushing people over to your channel. So keep creating great content, and we're gonna bring everybody together and knock it out of the park.
Yeah, that's a great point. We also we don't need to wait until the official marketing campaign that Andrew is putting together launches. I mean, I've been following uh, our stuff on X in particular, the stuff that Blaze has been doing. I've been seeing a lot of the new people being brought on board, a lot of the content all you guys are making. Um, yeah, just keep doing that. I think our socials are way up month over month. So Blaze has been doing a great job with that, and it's basically getting the word out about all the content that you guys are putting out. So keep doing it, and then we'll roll that into the official campaign. Um, Question from Intrepid Server: what will Cryptomancer work on next? So at the moment, he's still, the 1.75 is going into testing. He's going to be working on that through the launch. As I mentioned earlier, my preference would be next. Cryptomancer works on getting land assets and research integrated into other aspects of the game, giving them utility into other aspects of the game. I guess obviously if the community thinks that it should be something different, they can, let me know or let us know. But I think that's, something that'll be really important in general, like start getting utility for all these new land resources. I don't expect that will take a ton of work. At least not from Cryptomancer's end, because once the land assets will all be there at that point, but there'll probably be a few new things we want to do. And then I was just gonna plan to have him go right into adding in more things toward 2.0, getting the next set of resources out, maybe starting to get buildings in. I don't know exactly what yet, but we're going to go through all the 2.0 stuff and figure out what the lowest hanging fruit is or what it makes sense to add next. Let's see. Question from Mega Marcus: with upcoming land 1.75 it's supposed to be, could it be an idea to allow SPS staking for dark energy as well? This can increase SPS demand and price. Also, DEC don't get parked at land in much higher amounts. Well, I mean, I guess we could. The issue with that is, I mean, there's a couple things. One, the SPS price is very variable. We hope it goes up significantly. So then, like any amount that we pick, might not work the next day or the next week. So that's kind of the whole idea about dark energy crystals is we're able to price things more appropriately and know that they'll stay priced appropriately because it doesn't fluctuate as much. But the idea is that any demand for dark energy crystals leads to demand for SPS. So, I mean, it shouldn't increase SPS demand at all by changing dark energy crystals to SPS because dark energy crystal demand goes right into SPS. And I think that's something a lot of people I talk to don't really understand. But as soon as we generate enough demand for dark energy crystals, and hopefully Conclave Arcana will do this to where it gets back up to around 1,000 per dollar price, then all the value, we just want to get people spending dark energy crystals in the game as much as possible because that just directly translates into SPS demand. So that's why I focus on dark energy crystals in particular, and not SPS directly. Yeah, thank you, Investi, for adding more details on the leaderboards. I'm not always the best at explaining these things. All right, I only see a couple questions left in Discord. I'm going to say if you have any more questions, get them in now in the next minute or two, and then we're going to cut questions off because we've been rolling for a long time here. But a reminder to everyone, feel free to put questions in the town hall channel at any time after the live event is over, and myself or other team members will get to them, usually at least a few times a week. We've been checking on those questions, so you don't have to get it on the live show. It's actually sometimes helpful when they're not during the live thing because I have more time to think through the answers rather than just rattling them off at the top of my head, in order so we don't have a lot of dead time on the stream while I'm thinking. Next question from Mega Marcus: with the update of the website, most languages are lost. Do you have the aim to update the translations, and do you need help from native speakers? Yeah, that is definitely the case. We have not focused on translations. I don't think we're planning to focus on translations right at this point, like in the next few months. Again, we have a million other things that we're doing that I think are more important. But at some point, yes, I would like to get back to the translations. And then we may, yeah, in the past we've used, our community members who were native speakers of other languages to help with that. I think there's also opportunity for AI to help with that um, going forward. But that's something maybe later in the year we'll hopefully be able to get to. The question from Paul TRX: with the leaderboard rewards moving to Glint, do you think some of the players in the champ leaderboard will not spend as much since there's no tradable value for it anymore, since it will no longer be DEC? That is possible, but one of the things I have in the back of my mind, and we've been talking about at some of our internal meetings, is I want to add some real new cool stuff in the Glint shop, particularly things like those titles that we had, like really expensive things for the champion players, the people who are accumulating millions of glint and probably have the maxed reward cards. There's a few different ideas that we have been throwing around of the cool, high level, tradable, sellable things that we can add into the glint shop in the near future. So my hope is that that will make it even more exciting for especially champ players to try to get more glint and get higher on the leaderboard, because those are going to be, exclusive, probably limited amount items that will cost a lot of glint. All right, I see a couple more questions. Let's, Ron, if you're listening, please cut off. Oh, okay, that was fast. So we're done. We're done taking questions. Again, please feel free to post them, and I'll get to them later if we don't get to them on the stream. Question from Vugtis: is the new resource requirement for research and SPS in 1.75 finalized? No, the requirements are not finalized. I know you've reached out to me with some suggestions and ideas, so feel free to ping me again, and I'm going to look at those. I mean, for that stuff, nothing is really finalized until it's released, to be honest. Or at least a little bit before it's released, we'll put out a post with all the final details. But for testing, it doesn't mean the numbers are finalized. It just means we're going through all the actual functionality and making sure things don't break, and all that stuff. So that's still on the table. Question from Paul TRX: how am I doing and how is team morale? I would say I am more excited than I've been in a long time. Or like I was saying this toward the end of last year that I'm extremely excited. The stuff that I've been extremely excited for is starting to happen now, which I guess so the excitement is building. I think having validators out, it's a project I started myself coding at least 3 years ago. So that is like amazing to see that out. Part of me maybe didn't really believe that it would ever happen somehow, just with the difficult trail toward that. Team morale. I think a lot of the people in the team, you guys can also jump in and say what you want. My feeling is the team members are similarly excited to me for a lot of this stuff, but I've been pushing the team really hard to get a lot of stuff done on a really short time frame. And unfortunately, it's a situation where some team members have had to take pay cuts or have agreed to still help out on a volunteer basis because we've had to reduce our expenses. So these guys are working hard for you. And my hope is that one day in the not too distant future we can really compensate them appropriately to show the appreciation for the amazing work that they've done. But it's been a lot, and it's still going to be a lot, I think, at least for the next few months, trying to get all this done and out, and to be able to support hopefully a huge influx of new players. I don't know, what do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, I basically what you said. I would say that let it factor into how you approach Discord or social media or talk to the team. A lot of these guys are, I know on the creative side, these guys are just putting it all out there. Their hearts, their blood, sweat, and tears. It's just all out there. There's nothing left, because essentially, we're at a time in our company's history where we're trying to do way more with a lot less. And the people who are left and fighting the good fight, they really need your support. I mean, it may not seem like it. It's easy to go in Discord, it's like but really, it makes such a difference. If you guys are there to support the team with positive comments and feedback, and you try to not make everything a negative comment about I want this, I want that, I don't like this, I don't like that, but once in a while, just inject a little bit of something, little something, because it brightens people's day. And then if the team member feels the morale go up in a positive and they feel a little more appreciated, guess what? You're going to get a better product. They're going to work that much harder for you. They're going to do that much better at their jobs. So yeah, I mean, thanks for asking. That's nice.
Investigator, you have any thoughts?
Yeah, it's a very busy time, and will probably be a very high rate of work until after Conclave Arcana gets out. Uh, you did skip Clay's question. I don't know if that was intentional or not, but
I did. Oh, no, not intentional.
We will probably get to the Yabamat card sometime after Conclave Arcana at this point, just because bandwidth is low.
Definitely after Conclave Arcana.
And I guess I'll tack on to Paul TRX's question. Yes, if people would like to see something else go out for leaderboard prizes, feel free to pass a DAO proposal for the DAO to sponsor leaderboard prizes in some fashion, and we will be happy to switch it out from Clint to whatever that is. But for the time being, yeah, we are going to be giving out Clint.
Cool. Well, yeah, I mean, I'll just say it again. I mean, Investi is kind of on leading all of this stuff, everything that gets released, everything that happens, and he does a lot of the work. Also, I don't really know how he does it, because I used to do that in the past and it didn't go nearly as well. So yeah, the real wizard here, I think, is Investigator. And like what Nate said, they're typically the ratio of negativity to positivity from the player base is not ideal, and I get that it's a difficult market and a difficult time. Hopefully, we're coming out of that. But anytime you guys get a chance or see an opportunity to share positive messages, like, hey, I noticed the game doesn't break every 10 minutes like it did in 2021. For those of you who are around here, it's always great to hear. Blaze, how you feeling?
Feeling great, man. Just seeing things come together again. At first, it's like being in a canoe shooting a cannon, right? And that's how it felt. So it's like I tried to slow down on that and help the team build the foundation, and that's what we've been doing over the last few months. And again, as you can see, we're surrounded by a lot of impactful and positive people with the same vision that we all have. Speaking of vision, there's just there's a lot more that we can add, but let's focus on this. And once we get these priorities knocked out, we can then venture to the next list of stuff. And the DAO can already start talking about things to plan ahead of time. But let's stay focused here and knock things out. In-game trading, all kinds of things that we want to add. As soon as we get past Conclave Arcana, we can start prioritizing those lists and keep things moving. So
Yeah,
good times.
Yeah, I'll share a little story also. I was in New York City on Monday night there's a Bitcoin bar there called Pub Key, and there was a Crypto Mondays meetup, and I was invited to talk. I have a Bitcoin talk this seems to be well regarded in this area at least. Anyway, but obviously, talked about Splinterlands also, and people were asking me about it and showing them the product just on my phone. I didn't have my laptop or anything. It's good to step outside, our little bubble here sometimes, because people generally, and these are all people in the Web3 space, building product. I talked to a number of people doing AI agents, which is where this kind of idea came up of that might be a really interesting area to explore for survival mode. But just showing them like everything that we have in Splinterlands, people seem so blown away by all this stuff. just like the markets and the rentals and the volumes, less about the dollar volumes, but like the number of things happening and the battles and like how many people are interacting and the DAO proposals and like all this stuff. It really like seems to blow people in building in the Web3 space, like just can't believe how much is going on here. And it's good for me to see that. One person even was like very interested in all the characters on the cards. Joey, if you're still listening, and he asked me, is there lore or stories for these characters? And I was like, yeah, there is. And I pulled one up and clicked on the lore tab and kind of showed him that stuff. And showed him, I think one of yeah, I don't know if it was on our YouTube channel, but somewhere I found a video to show like the videos we've done. So yeah, like different parts of the thing, but yeah, the people are just like so surprised. And I guess because they're used to seeing like people talk about projects and they're either like not launched or they're like these, I don't know, Ponzi scheme things. I don't know what it is, but like used to seeing kind of crappy half-baked projects. And it just really surprises people when they see how much is going on here. And hopefully our marketing campaign and Blaze and Andrew and all them can just show the world that generally, and get way more people in than I might be able to talk to one night in New York. So I just wanted to share that story. And then there was one more question that came in right after we closed off the questions. And it's a really good one, so I wanted to talk about it. It's a question again from Call Me Rudy. Uh, why are we adding more things in the Glint shop that make Glint monetizable only to the highest level players? Most players have no access to monetizing their Glint. Seems like the wrong direction to go. So, no, that's actually the exact direction that we are purposely trying to go. If we we purposely are making it so that you cannot monetize Glint, because if you can monetize Glint, that leads to farming. That is effectively the issue that we've had in the past. But before the Glint system, even a little bit with the Glint system, with the chest rewards, the jackpot prizes, the you know if we make the things that you earn through playing the game monetizable, it just encourages farming, and we get into the whole issue that led to huge bot farms and then the big crash, and that's not what we're going for. We're going for making a fun, engaging game where the people who are playing are supposed to play in order to be able to earn things that help them get better and do better in the game. Now, if you have a spell book, you're able to earn SPS tokens. You also need SPS tokens to be staked in order to earn them. So by getting Glint and getting better cards and allowing you to move up to higher levels, you are able to earn more SPS as long as you stake SPS and buy a spell book. So you are able to monetize it indirectly. But that is purposely the way we're going, because the other way really caused a lot of problems, and this way is much better, focusing on the gameplay experience, focusing on single accounts, getting higher level, moving up, all that stuff in order to unlock higher earning potential later on. That is a very conscious decision. And then at the highest ends, at that point you're not able to farm across multiple accounts. So that's the only time where we're able to unlock monetization of Glint, is at the very higher end of the scale, and hopefully it helps encourage people to try to play and get there. So with that, I'm gonna call it a day here. It's been a little over 2.5 hours. Thank you guys for sticking through it all this time, and for all your work getting us here, and hopefully to our biggest launch ever in just a few months. Thank you to the community. Obviously, none of this is possible without all the players. It's been super exciting for me to go on X and have my feed filled with all kinds of new content, posts, excitement, new players, whatever, what have you, about Splinterlands. I think we're starting to see, the light at the end of the tunnel, in the sense I've seen Rebellion prices on the market are starting to go up. I mentioned I myself need to get a bunch more DEC ready for Conclave Arcana. I hope to see all this stuff start to play out as the releases happen, and I'm super excited also to start spinning up my validator node. and see that multi-year project come to fruition. So yeah, we'll see. We have another event coming up in March. I think it's probably March 20th. Also, third Thursday of March. It'll be an evening, at least in the U.S. evening town hall. I can't imagine that we will have more stuff to talk about then, because I don't know how long we could possibly go. But we'll see. We have a bunch of big releases planned between now and then. So it's going to be an exciting month. Thank you, everyone, and we will talk to you next time.
Bye, everybody.
This is our story, the one where we will not accept defeat. This is our